I think any like extreme plane or Coast Guard when they go out and rescue.
He kept saying it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I kept questioning him. And I would ask him, I have to question him. He's like, yeah, I'm going to get him.
So I think all
so the local
yes. So one of those guys came out of work and was so the duration was like swell at its deepest was about 15 and then right back. So the pilot had to account for that. I mean, think about it. So the pilot has to account for that and the rescuer was going down on a rope. Also has to account for event that wave kind of like goes down. So now this is and then just imagine doing that, like doing that math. And so the guy who was rescuing was like going into the water, 50 feet down, back up. It was so, like I was sitting on the edge, like I was watching. And it was raining, it was like stormy wind. And the pilot, like you can see, there was like 2 or 3 cameras, I think. One was facing down. Getting out of the truck. What are you gonna do? But all these accidents basically happen just upon takeoff, or barely taking off shifts or whatever, and it's impossible for the pilot. Oh, that was a. I mean, they say initially they were saying pilot error, but both pilots were experienced. And, I mean, one was more experienced than the other, and it's almost impossible to accidentally turn the switches off or on because you have to physically pull it and then cut it off. It wasn't even a suicide. I mean, they looked into both the pilots' backgrounds of like mental history or their surrounding.
bell-to-bell banning of cell phones in school would be high on that list. There's a collection of housing bills that we'd love to see get through, particularly given how expensive housing has become in New Jersey and the supply-demand imbalance. There are several public safety items or agenda items, potential bills that we're looking at very seriously. Those would be 3 examples on the legislative side.
Governor,
Please, I'll come back to you.
do you feel validated in some ways this was a bit of a proxy race between you and Trump?
Between me and Trump, I don't know. I feel good. I feel really good that voters voted resoundingly to pick a candidate that I had endorsed and we had endorsed, who we believe in, who we think will take what we've done and in many ways either continue it or build upon it. And that is a personal matter. First of all, I think most importantly, it's really good for the 9.5 million folks who call New Jersey home. Secondly, as a personal matter, given the work we've done over the past 8 years, that feels good. But these are dire times in our country. We can't ignore that part either, and the fact that we need to make statements about who we are as a country, not just who we are as a state. And I think you saw that emphatically last night.
Regarding SNAP, is there any plans, and speaking of Trump, is there any plan to use the surplus at all for food assistance? And if not, why? And also, sorry, I lost the second part.
No problem. You take nothing off the table, but there's no state in America that can fill the existentially significant, large, important role that the federal government plays. So we've taken a whole bunch of steps. We've formed an intergovernment task force. We accelerated $42.5 million on the street. Economic Development Authority has come up with some more. We've authorized the National Guard to help distribute. We'll continue to look at everything. Our folks are telling me where the Trump administration landed in terms of the interim resolution was the absolute worst place to land in terms of bureaucracy, how long it will take to get any money on the street. They're sitting on about $6 billion, and they're choosing to allow people to go hungry. 800,000 New Jerseyans. That's a choice that they've made, which I think is so cruel and so not who we are as a country.
Governor, the governor-elect has said throughout her campaign that she plans to use.
Can we come closer?
She intends to use her powers as governor to declare a state of emergency on utility bills, really on her first day. You had previously said that you weren't sure how she would be able to do that. Have you talked with her, and/or will you talk with her?
Absolutely. We didn't talk about that in this meeting, although affordability is at the top of her agenda as it is ours. I feel badly that I put the cart before the horse when I initially reacted to that, saying, you know, the devil's in the details, basically, and how do you go about that? But what I should have said, and I then for the past couple of months have been saying, is it's a great touchstone point to start. Enough, time out. Let's figure out a way to hold this thing, and then, okay, now let's get into the details. How do you actually do that? We didn't talk about that in this meeting. I'm sure that's a discussion we'll have, but I love the fact that that's her starting point. That doesn't mean that it's easy to do, but she's got a really smart team around her, and we're very happy to work with her to figure out how we get from A to B.
Governor, what is your message to the more than 40% of people who voted for Jack Ciattarelli? How do you think the Democratic Party in this state should be working with those on the other side of the aisle to get things done for people in New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I reached out to Jack last night. We were together last Thursday in Newark at the Blue Mass. He's a guy I've known over the years. Obviously, we ran against each other 4 years ago, but we've got a very, notwithstanding what folks say on the campaign trail or just in the public, as a general matter, we've got a good relationship behind the scenes with a lot of folks, and Jack is one of them. I think Mikie said it. When you're governor for all 9.5 million New Jerseyans. That's the way I've approached it from day one. And if you can find a bipartisan solution on something, that's always going to be better than going it alone. And I think Mikie's got a great track record of being a very pragmatic, moderate leader. It's not like she's coming in for the first time as an elected official. She has a track record, and it's a very attractive track record, and she has tried to reach to the other side whenever she could, just as we have. I think that's the message, that she's going to, I've been governor for all 9.5 million folks, whether you like me or not, and she will be governor for all 9.5 million as well.
What are you planning
And
to
do
do?
you like me, by the way?
Of course, you're buzzing.
Charlie?
Last night, we also had the election of Mondami in New York, Democratic Socialist, and we had two moderates in state houses elected. Does this augur a divide in the Democratic Party or big tent? How do you view
Yeah.
this?
Charlie, I come down on the big tent side of things. There's a, you had it right in front of his face. Could you do that again for me? There's a phrase that the Brits use in horse racing, which I've always liked: horses for courses. So you take the horse. If it's raining, you need a mutter. If it's sunshine and a fast track, you need a different horse. And I think you saw last night. It's a big tent party. I just got off the phone with the chair of the DNC, Ken Martin, who was in campaigning for Mikie this weekend with us. Big tent party. B, what you need to win in New Jersey is not necessarily what you need in terms of the type of candidate to win in New York City. And I think you saw that last night. The three big national races, arguably, were Virginia, Jersey, and New York City, and you saw 2 out of 3, to your point, Charlie. Moderate, just kind of left of center, pragmatic.
Is that the future, that future
I-
VA candidates?
I don't know.
Congressional candidates should follow that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's too early to tell, but I know that's what worked in New Jersey last night. for
Governor,
sure.
what are your plans when you leave office?
Hold, can I come back?
Oh, yes.
Nothing to report there.
Nothing to
Nothing to
report.
report, literally.
Okay, then I
Are you
won't.
going to aim to fill vacancies in your lame duck?
Sure, but we've been doing that all along. That's not an extraordinary, we're not all of a sudden going to wake up and say, we have to fill vacancies. We've been doing that as best we could all along, and we'll continue to do that.
What about the vacancies on the BPUs? Will that be part of that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Any plan on technical parole violators at all?
No news to make, but that's something that we've wanted to do. So I've got nothing new to tell you on that one, but that has been a priority. We want to get it right because notwithstanding what you heard on the campaign trail, I can say this because A, I didn't do it, and B, I was the chair of the National Governors Association, which is a bipartisan group, and I've been governor for 8 years. The bail reform that Governor Chris Christie did is the envy of the nation. Notwithstanding what you heard on the campaign trail, I can tell you every other governor in every other state I've talked to about it, when they're trying to do it themselves, would say, gosh, we wish we had done what New Jersey did. And again, I can say that because Governor Chris Christie did it. Thank you all. Good to see you all.
Just one more.
Depends on what it is. How's that?
There is a bill pending in committee that would address house vacancies. Do you think that's something to come up in lame duck, considering there is going to be a house vacancy?
You know what, I suspect, where's Tim? Tim, I suspect that would come up. Would you guess? Because we've got a really cumbersome process right now, and that needs to be addressed. Whether we can address it in lame duck, I don't know. We did not discuss with Mikie her current day job and how she's going to deal with that. That's for her to talk about. But that's something, it's a general matter. We've had challenges. We had 2 tragic deaths in Bill Pascrell and Don Payne, and it was really, really hard. And I think we're, fair to say, Tim, on the American scale, we're at the far end of how hard it is, and that doesn't seem right. Thank you all.
Thanks, Governor.
Thanks, guys.
Who do I have? Thank Sorry if it's sweating. Oh my God, it's awesome. Sorry about
so much.
Thank you. You don't have to go to the gym all week now. At least not for arm day. Thank you very much. Somebody left the water bottle. Sorry, I'm gonna need to be showering over here. It's okay, I can get out. Carry it. I'll just turn it off and hold it. Oh.